composers who wrote some of the songs that are still sung in showers everywhere. And here's some of the stars who first made them hits. But first, let's look at some of the numbers that have got theatergoers humming today. As our guide through the music of Broadway past and present, we're delighted to have with us the composer Marvin Hamlisch. Not only has he won numerous Grammys and Oscars, Remember the Way We Were, but he was awarded both a Tony and a Pulitzer Prize for the longest-running musical in Broadway history, The Chorus Line. Welcome, Marvin Hamlisch.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
My man.
Yes, sir.
Marvin, you went to Juilliard, classically trained and all that. What is it about the Broadway musical that made you stop and say, I want to do that?
Well, there I was at Juilliard, and I was doing, which is what you do at Juilliard, basically. And one day, and I don't even know what started this, actually, my father took me, to Broadway, and I started seeing shows. And what I loved about it, really, and it sounds kind of crazy, was not just the music, not just the lyrics, but seeing the interaction between hearing a song and hearing that applause of the audience, seeing an instant kind of wonderful gratification. I remember seeing one of the first shows I ever saw was Damn Yankees. And as you know, I'm a big Yankee fan, so it was the right show to see. Those were in the days when the Yankees were winning years and years ago. I mean, we're talking ancient history. But anyway, and I saw that show, and you remember there was a wonderful song in it called Whatever Lola Wants, remember? Yeah. Lola gets... And you heard this audience laugh. You heard them, and you remembered the song. And I said, this is for me. I said, this is really something special. And in those days, there was a thing called standing room where you could, I used to make money growing up by playing for a dance class. I used to play a lot of dance classes, which is where I think I got my love for the leotard. It started right at that time. And all of a sudden, I would go to all these shows. There was like $1.50 to stand. I remember seeing Fiorello and seeing Pajama Game and all this. And shows at that time were basically, I think, wonderful entertainments. They were things, there was the musical comedy. I think Bye Bye Birdie was one of the funniest shows I ever saw. And then what happened, which was very exciting for me, is I saw a show that I think, for me, changed my life, which was West Side Story. Mm. I mean, you have to understand that up until then, we were used to those kind of songs, the things you heard, and all of a sudden a guy comes out and goes, this is not what we call a hummable phrase, And all of a sudden, that the story, the impact of the book, the impact of seeing something that not only was exciting to watch and dance, but that when it was over, you really thought about it, and it meant something, you know, to you in the audience. And all of a sudden, I remember right after seeing that show, because I saw that show about 8 times after that. After seeing that show, I said, that's what I want to do.
Well, it had a social context.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
the musical, not just as frivolity and entertainment alone, but with a point of view.
And we also had great stars in those days. I remember seeing Gypsy and seeing someone like, you know, an Ethel Merman come out and just, you know, just get you crazy by singing a song. That's one of the things I, in my career, have always missed, which was to write for someone with that kind of a voice that you just thought, wow, you know, nowadays everything is mic'd. You know, someone whispers in the theater today, and you hear it very loud. You know?
The way we were.
You know, but in those days, it would work. So it was very exciting to see those kind of shows, and that's when I got involved.
Well, what? How about further back than before you even were able to see them, like Rodgers and Hart?
Right, sure.
The wonderful, the clever lyrics, the beautiful song.
Well, Hart, you know, lyricists, you know, I only write music, you know. I do that, and I also do the laundry. It's a kind of combination. But lyricists have done also different types of things. I mean, having a collaboration like Rodgers and Hart was wonderful because Hart was so clever, so, you know, witty. Someone like Cole Porter, who wrote both music and lyrics. That's someone...
Frank Lesser.
Frank Lesser, exactly. Wonderful things. We've had a tremendous change over the last, I would say, 15 years, because what I think has happened, people say, what's happened to the American musical? What's happened is that Broadway has become a place where it's not just for American musicals. We've opened it up to the English, to the French, which I think is great, by the way. And now we have shows that seem to be what we call through composed. We have almost opera on Broadway. We have come to a position which is scary in a way, where some people are not even using book writers anymore. They're just writing, you know, 15 songs in a row. They all get sung, you know, in one evening. They put it up, and sometimes it turns out great, like a Les Mis or something like that. Sometimes people walk away thinking about the chandeliers, whatever. We are making definitely a diversion. And what I think is going to happen, actually, my feeling is that people are anxious to go a little bit back. It's why, for instance, we were talking about the revivals that are coming
Guys and Dolls.
Guys and Dolls we now have. Most
Crazy
Happy
for You.
Crazy for You, which is based on Girl Crazy. We've had Most Happy Fella. We have a lot of old shows coming back.
Well, these things are now very composer sensitive, right? One thinks of an Andrew Lloyd Webber
yes, exactly.
Musical.
Right.
Has his stamp on it.
Absolutely. They all have a stamp on it, and I think the only thing that I kind of miss for myself as an audience is I don't want to have to go to every show anymore and have it all be socially, important. I miss a good old-fashioned, funny, like, I remember when I saw one of the first shows I think Sondheim ever did, which is Funny Thing Happened to Me on the Way to the Forum, which I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that's his first show that he did, music and lyrics on. And it was one laugh after the other, and I miss that. I miss being able to just have a good time, you know.
Something,
right.
everyone
A parade tonight. Wonderful stuff. And I think that, that's interesting about that song. That song was written later on, out of town, when people had a hard time understanding what the heck was this show about. And the director said, what we need is a song to explain that what we're really doing is a comedy. I mean, it sounds so easy when the song works. And someone said, he wrote Comedy Tonight to make it very clear, I should have written a song called Dancing Tonight, or whatever the thing is, to know what we're doing. The musical for me is still the place where I get the biggest kick. I mean, I must say I have enjoyed writing films. I enjoy it. But even when you're in trouble with the show out of town, or when a song is not working, for instance, and you change it, and you see the next night that it works, that's the joy. That's the beautiful part.
Because there's great risk.
Oh,
but you
yes.
find out fairly quickly, don't you?
Oh, you find out very quickly. Here's the most important critic right off the bat. Ready? Before it's written in the word, you hear, and the coughing starts, and you know we're in a little bit of trouble.
We won't do that right now. Marvin will be back later to talk more about his own shows. But next, the composer and star of the show that's broken all records for longevity, Fantasticks. Mellow.
Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Follow, follow, follow.
Yoplait, low fat, calcium rich, with active yogurt cultures. It's something 40-year-old Vicky Gentry does every day. Smooth, creamy Yoplait. Do it for you.
BMW reminds you there's more to life than a bigger office. Is this the year you experience BMW motorcycles?
The medical facts are clear. Tylenol is so gentle on your stomach, doctors even recommend it to their ulcer patients for everyday aches and pains. They know Tylenol can't aggravate an ulcer the same way aspirin can. That's important for all of us to know. And so is this. Hospitals use Tylenol 23 times more than all aspirin brands combined. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
From Hollywood Pictures.
Dad?
When Jack Scanlon passed away,
Dad hated me.
Who said that?
Dad did it.
his family was reunited.
My son, Tony, was mugged by a gang of transvestites. They pierced his ear. He got away just before they shaved his legs.
And now, the only thing that's going to get them through this difficult time
I tell you how bad my hip is. Yeah, 10 minutes ago. It's worse.
is their love for each other.
Who are you?
I'm the father of her child.
Passed Away, rated PG-13, starts Friday, April 24th.
Two old friends.
Jane Seymour, Daniel J. Travati, a GM Playwrights Theater presentation. I Remember You. Tuesday at 9 p.m. on A&E. Brought to you by General Motors. GM is putting quality on the road.
Its commitment stretches from coast to coast. It has engineering resources that are unsurpassed. It has the only biomedical research facility of its kind. It has helped save thousands of lives. It is the world leader in automotive safety because there's nothing in the world that matters more. GM Safety. It's not one thing. It's everything.
In the spring of 1960, a musical about a boy and a girl performed on a nearly bare stage opened in a theater tucked away in New York's Greenwich Village. Opening night was almost its last. But 32 years later, the Fantasticks is still there. The longest-running musical ever, anywhere. It was the first show for both its lyricist, Tom Jones, and its composer, Harvey Schmidt. It also gave a young actor named Jerry Orbach his first starring role and the chance to sing the haunting ballad that beckoned us into the world of the Fantasticks. Here to sing it again tonight is Jerry Orbach, accompanied by the man who wrote the music, Harvey Schmidt.
Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember, without a hurt, the heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that made us mellow. Deep in December, our hearts should remember and follow. Follow.
Welcome, Harvey Schmidt, Jerry Orbach.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the Fantasticks. I told you a story. My dad, I got them tickets, and he had gone to Broadway shows all his life, and he said, there was no scenery. There was pieces of paper, but you knew what was happening. And his first contact with abstraction, it was so different in its time. How did it come about?
Well, when my partner, Tom Jones, and I first came to New York after we'd been in the Army, we were going to write this great, giant, big Broadway musical. And we took this little Rostand piece called The Romancers, and we were going to turn it into this big Broadway musical. And, you know, as the play downtown now is just two neighboring backyards. Well, at that time, in our original version, it was two neighboring ranches in the Southwest. And one was Anglo, and the one was Spanish. It was sort of the same plot as West Side Story. This was before West Side Story. And the girl's name was Maria. We even had a song called Maria. And we worked and worked on this for several years, trying to turn it into our first big Broadway musical. I even saw people on horseback, real horses, on the stage of the Winter Garden Theater. And so we worked and worked on this, and we're getting nowhere. It was just like this huge enchilada that had too much interior in it. And it finally just collapsed. It was collapsing. And one day, we got a call from one of our college collaborators, Ward Baker, who had also come to New York. And he said, I'm directing 3 one-act plays for Mildred Dunnock's Summer Theater at Barnard. And he said, if you can give me a musical in 2 weeks that I can do, I'd like to do one of the 3 one-act things as a musical. So this was such an interesting challenge. We didn't have anything else.
So you made it small.
So we decided this was not working. We'd throw out all this stuff and start all over. And we wrote it as a one-act and decided to make it as simple as possible because there was no money for scenery. And also it was, we all liked this kind of theater where you used your imagination. And so we went for doing it as simple as we could, and we wrote in 2 weeks what is essentially the first act of the Fantasticks as it's seen today.
Now, it almost closed immediately. It got sort of lukewarm reviews for some reason.
Well, yeah, it got kind of mixed reviews. People said it was too cute, or it was this, or it was that, but we were very close to closing very early on. And then we took it out to East Hampton, to the John Drew Theater, for a week or two, whatever it was. And a lot of people in the business who were out there came to see it, you know, big names in the theater, and they started word of mouth going, and by the time we got back to New York, that was it.
It was really word of mouth that really
Give us a little bit of the plant the radish, get the radish.
If you sing it, I will. And
plant the radish, get the radish, not a Brussels sprout. That's why I like vegetables, you know what they're about. Excellent, excellent. Did you know when this guy walked in that he was the one?
We did, believe it or not. We had seen so many people for this role.
El Gallo, we all did it in drama school.
Yeah, because this man is like, he makes his whole play work. Everything functions around him. And he's also a leading man. He has to be handsome. He has to sing like crazy, act like crazy. But he also has to have a sense of humor, which Jerry has in abundance.
I found that there were certain parts of the Fantasticks, in the rape song, for instance, that I literally couldn't get through. I would crack myself up when I heard them. You know, the gothic rape. I play Valkyrie on a bass bassoon. I could never say that. I couldn't sing it for at least 10 days, 2 weeks without falling on the floor.
You know, Jerry, you are, I wouldn't say a dying breed, but you are the consummate Broadway actor.
Thank you.
The live theater has been your meat.
Yeah,
You've done movies, a lot of movies. You're now in that animated Beauty and the Beast by the Candelabra.
My biggest hit. I'm Lumiere, the Candelabra. I'm going to get to sing the song on the Academy Awards and everything. Yeah.
What is it so much that appeals to you about this, aside from the convenience of going over to your club and taking a steam in the afternoon, which you can't do if you're out of town?
About staying in New York?
And being in the Broadway themes?
There's a vitality of life here that I don't find anyplace else. And I know writers find it, like Neil Simon says he always has to come back here to get an injection of real life that you just don't get in California.
He moved to California. Harvey, people may forget, because the extraordinary run of Fantasticks that you have collaborated on other musicals, namely 110 in the Shade.
That was our first Broadway
musical.
musical.
There'll be a revival at the City Opera.
Yes, we're very excited about that.
And the other, the other one we were talking about
I
was
Do, I Do.
I Do, I Do, which was from the Four poster.
Yeah, and that starred Mary Martin and Robert Preston.
Give us a little news.
Sometimes in the morning, when shadows are deep, I lie here beside you, just watching you sleep. And sometimes I whisper what I'm thinking of. My cup runneth over with love.
Jerry Orbach, Harvey Schmidt, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
We'll be right back.
Pizza Hut for the new Pepperoni Lovers Pizza with 25% more pepperoni than before. One medium's $8.99 and any other medium's just $4 more.
Excuse me, you're the owner of this place?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
So you could buy any laser printer you wanted, huh?
We bought an HP LaserJet printer.
But you could have bought any laser printer.
Yeah. Why?
Ah, just for the novelty of it?
I got enough novelty around here.
But isn't buying an HP LaserJet sort of like a, no-brainer?
Nah, I think it's kind of like a brainer.
HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer.
How many times I told my dad to see a doctor. He was stubborn. But the pain in his stomach just wouldn't go away. He had to go. You should have seen the relief on his face when the doctor said Mylanta. He said it was indigestion, and his kind of indigestion needed strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
They rode to glory against impossible odds.
You can fit.
The Light Horseman, Sunday on A&E. This is your invitation to enter the world of Arts and Entertainment magazine.
Here you'll discover thought-provoking authors, reviews of the finest in performing arts and literature,
Highlights from the latest in music, home videos, and motion pictures.
and in-depth profiles of today's most intriguing personalities.
All the drama, the wonder, the beauty you've come to expect from the A&E network can be found in Arts and Entertainment magazine.
Plus beautiful color photography, challenging crossword puzzles,
And an expanded, improved program guide that takes you behind the scenes of the best in television.
To receive your 12 monthly issues for only $18 a year, send a check or money order to Arts and Entertainment Magazine, P.O. Box 2071, Knoxville, Iowa 50197 2071.
Or use your credit card and call toll-free 1-800-238-2800.
How much do rules help when you sit down to write a musical? For example, the one that says, never build your show around dogs and children, let alone cartoon characters. Luckily, composer Charles Strouse disobeyed that rule when he wrote his score about little orphan Annie and her mutt, Sandy. Annie was an unexpected hit, and the surprise star of the show was a 13-year-old named Andrea McArdle, who brought down the house every night and won a Tony nomination. Since then, she has appeared in shows like Jerry's Girls and Starlight Express. Charles Strouse's long list of musical credits includes such titles as Bye Bye Birdie, Applause, and Golden Boy. Welcome, Andrea McArdle and Charles Strouse. Now, the word on this was, Charles, that don't do a musical about a depression cartoon character. Why were people so intent on its imminent failure?
Well, it had the aura of being a children's show for one thing, and children's shows are not commercial. And then, as you mentioned before, shows with dogs and kids in them tend to upstage actors and seriousness. They're usually about cuteness and personality rather than any kind of message, so to speak, suitable for Broadway. So there was that alone, plus the fact that I had once written a show based on a cartoon called It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. And although we had very good notices, it didn't run a long time on Broadway. So I was very wary of
I don't see the connection between Superman and Little Orphan Annie. They both were comics, I suppose.
Yes, that's the...
Andrea, here you were, a kid in the chorus, as I understand it, and got the lead from the kid who originally had it up at the Opera House?
Right, Goodspeed Opera House.
She helped us defy that tradition because young girls, Shirley Temple, they're usually cute. Andrea, as you may have noticed, has a kind of steely quality about her, and it was the thing that put us over the top, the fact that this little girl was a New York street-smart kid. Tough.
Although she's from Philadelphia.
That's right.
No. How did that make this role? It sort of follows you around because you're considerably older now.
Right. Well, I think, you know, unlike somebody who
You've aged very well.
Thank you very much. I've aged a lot. No. I just think that what happened was in the show is the character that I was playing was kind of a spunky character, and the little girl they had chosen was very, very sweet, and the whole point was they didn't think she would survive on the streets, and probably wouldn't have. And it was, when I look back on it now, it's kind of fun to remember how it all happened because it was totally by accident. You know,
it's an incredible
never done a
story.
Broadway show before, and
right into the... Now, we'll get back to Annie in a moment. Bye Bye Birdie is, I understand, your most performed show, isn't it?
Annie's closing in on it, but Bye Bye Birdie is probably the most.
Give us a little tootle from Bye Bye Birdie.
Gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face, brush off the clouds and cheer up, put on a happy face.
It'll never work. It'll never go. It'll never go. Your interests in music are, well, number one, you're excellent, I don't know if the word is book writer, that is, rather than think that you're going to make a hit, you write the proper piece at the right time.
Well,
how do you know when a piece of music is needed in the show?
Well, that's a composer's instinct, and everybody does it differently. It's a sense of, if I can use a musical term, counterpoint in a sense. I mean, one writes something that's contrapuntal to the emotion, ironical, sarcastic, or one writes truly to it. And I have a musician's ear, or eye, you might say, for trying to dress a scene so that music contributes to an underlying meaning, or might surprise the audience by its pulse being different from what the playwright or the actor is intending, that kind of thing. But it's pure instinct.
And American, always American subject.
Yeah.
Very American. Not a count or a duke in the whole...
I did do one called I and Albert with Lee Adams, but basically you're right. Everything I've written has been about America. My favorite score.
But I mean not score. little piece of music, too?
Oh, that well, there's a song in Golden Boy called,
this is an expensive piano.
Oh, it's a wonderful piano.
We want to use it.
I want to be with you. I want to be with you. After all the nights of wanting you, lying there loving you, hating you, tonight I'm touching you, tasting you, world you're gonna see. We'll make out somehow. I can't get out of this. Here's my girl and me. You can't hurt us now.
There's a beautiful imperfection when composers sing. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I love to hear composers.
Now, you've been in
sing
one of the
their
more
songs.
modern examples of a Broadway musical, Starlight Express.
Right.
What's that like? Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Well, my reasons for doing Starlight Express were purely physical. It was a chance to. I've always loved, you know, being athletic, and that's how that was seriously how I
to roller
considered.
skate? That's why you took the job?
Yeah, I love that. I remember during Annie, they wouldn't let me skateboard. They had to write it in the contract because I was doing it all over the place, and you know, they were picturing, you know, my lip falling off and everything. So that's the reason why I wanted to do Starlight
glamorous.
Express.
Insurance reasons. We want to grab some of the show-stopping moments, if you would do us the honor. Some of the show-stopping moments.
Absolutely.
From Annie.
The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, oh, the sun'll come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come what may. Together at last,
Together forever,
we're tying a knot.
they never will sever.
I don't need sunshine now to turn my skies to blue.
I don't need anything but you. You wrap me around, yes, your cute little finger.
You made life a song. You made me the singer.
I tried. And what's that bathtub
Tune you always bubble.
I don't need anything but you.
Yesterday was plain awful.
You can say that again.
Yesterday was plain awful.
But that's not now, that's then.
I'm poor as a mouse.
I'm richer than Midas.
But nothing on earth
Could ever divide us. And if tomorrow I'm an apple seller too,
I don't need anything,
anything,
anything. I don't need anything but you. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick out my chin and grin and say, oh, the sun'll come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come what may.
The following movie is rated PG-13.